It really is my pleasure to speak to you and your lovely audience today about our wonderful product, Antigua and Barbuda Citizenship by Investment program.
We'll talk about what I consider the best passport program available at the moment. Antigua offers three investment options.
So I would really like to just focus on some of the more recent changes to the program.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Antigua and Barbuda seminar. My name is Patrick Peters, CEO of ClientReferrals, and today I'm pleased to be joined by Mrs. Charmaine Quinland-Donovan. She is the CEO of the Antigua and Barbuda Citizenship by Investment Unit, or CIU. Mrs. Quinland-Donovan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Patrick, for having me. It really is my pleasure to speak to you and your lovely audience today about our wonderful product, Antigua and Barbuda Citizenship by Investment program.
How are you today? How are things in Antigua?
Oh, things in Antigua, lovely. I mean, when you live in an island paradise where you have sunshine 365 days of the year, you can't help but be happy. So things in Antigua are great, really, really great. And, I'm just looking forward to, we are slowly getting back to normal. So we are seeing more flights coming in. And actually, yesterday, we welcomed our first cruise ship since March 2020. So that's a big thing for us. And we're all just very excited about the future right now.
Yeah, those cruise ships are such a big part of the livelihood of some Antiguans. So it's nice to welcome them back into the port.
That's great. Yes, it is. Truly is.
It's funny you said slowly getting back to normal, but I do have to commend you with one thing. Like even throughout the pandemic, even through lockdowns, in and out of lockdowns, and some uncertainties with some people's health and all of this, the CIU always operated as normal to an outsider. In fact, in the guts of the pandemic, in March, April, May, June of 2020, some of your average processing times were record best, which was amazing. So I do have to commend you and thank you for all that hard work and dedication. I know it wasn't easy, but you guys have done a great job.
You know, Patrick, I really can't take all the credit because I work with an incredible team of very committed individuals. We do understand how important this program is to the wider country. And so we did what we needed to do, pull up our bootstraps, basically, to ensure that we were able to still deliver. There was still a lot of interest in the program, even though there was the global lockdown. People were still requesting information about the program. Files were still being submitted. And so we wanted to continue to let our clients feel that life is worth it and that things will turn around. We wanted to give them hope, basically. And so we decided that we're not going to close. The country can be on lockdown, but thankfully the government allowed us to come into work. And since we are a relatively small outfit and we would have had our protocols in place, it was very seamless for us. And even when we did basically a hybrid of work from home and work in the office, that too went very seamlessly. So I'm really thankful for my team. I can't do this alone. My team is just very incredible and very supportive, very dedicated.
Yeah, absolutely. They are. And for those of you in the audience who do know Charmaine, Mrs. Quinlan-Donovan, you know she has this can-do attitude, and it's probably the biggest reason or one of the biggest reasons that the CIU operates so smoothly and the program operates so smoothly. You know, average processing times are quick. The requests from the CIU are reasonable, makes all sense. But for those of you who don't know Mrs. Quinlan-Donovan, allow me to briefly introduce her. She is a chartered director and fully qualified anti-money laundering specialist. What makes her so valuable to the program, though, is that she's been part of the CIU since its very beginning in 2013. She's held several key roles within the CIU, which include Chief Compliance Officer, Chief Operating Officer, and since 2017, she's been the CEO, which might actually be the longest tenured CIU CEO in the Caribbean at the moment. I may be mistaken, but do you know, Charmaine?
Yes, I am actually the longest serving CEO
Yeah,
in the region, yes.
that speaks volume to the stability and the credibility that Antigua has built as a program.
Yes, it does. It does. It really does add for makes for continuity and the seamless process. And constantly building on what is there, constantly improving our brand, constantly improving our service to our clients. So it really has worked well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I can personally attest to everybody in the audience that you work very hard and you're incredibly dedicated to making this program the best because your heart's in the right place. Ultimately, it's about helping the people and the country. So
That's
yeah,
true.
for that we thank you.
I'm Antiguan by birth, so I want to know that my country does well. Additionally, I have children, and I would like to know that I leave Antigua even a little better than I met it, for the benefit of my children and for my colleagues' children, and just for the sustenance of the whole country.
Yeah, and for us in the industry, we may not be as closely, tied to Antigua or have emotional attachments, but it's important for us to build businesses around stable programs, around credible programs, and that's what Antigua has to offer.
Yes. And thank you, Patrick, for working with us so closely over all these years to help us to shape the product into what it is right now. We have benefited from your experience and your company's experience in the global investment migration market. And, the recommendations that you've made based on what you're seeing in the industry has really helped us to shape this wonderful product that we now have and can feel really proud of. So thank you too, Patrick.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. It's been fun since the beginning.
Indeed.
So let's jump straight into the core of the presentation, we'll talk about what I consider the best passport program available at the moment. Antigua offers the strongest Caribbean CIP passport with 165 visa-free countries. Okay, that includes places like, it includes UK, Schengen, which are generic, India, Russia, but it's just the highest number of visa-free countries, and that's a testament to the country itself, which is more developed, more advanced, more economically stable than some of the other programs. It offers the most flexible definition for dependents. Okay, this is very important because in no other program can siblings of any age be considered dependents. The only condition that Antigua looks for is that they are unmarried. Okay, so that offers the investors a path to maximizing value for their investment to include their unmarried siblings. It also includes children under 21, and there are no education requirements. Parents over 55 who are financially dependent on the applicant, and it can be parents of the spouse as well, so principal applicant or the spouse, and the spouse of children of the principal applicant and the principal applicant's grandchildren as well can be considered as dependents and included in the file from the get-go. So the definition of dependence in Antigua is incredibly attractive and second to none. It's also the most developed Caribbean CIP country. So if anybody were to spend time in one of these countries, Antigua would be the best place. Best schools, best medical care, best infrastructure, most direct flights in and out of the country to the US, Canada, UK, Europe, and so on. So it's just a more well-established nation. They have no personal income tax whatsoever. So whether it's income tax or inheritance tax, capital gains tax, you name it, it does not exist. And their strong infrastructure, as I mentioned, and it offers security and peace of mind. There's incredibly low crime rate in Antigua and Barbuda as well. I can't forget about Barbuda.
That is right. As a matter of fact, very recently, the chief of police was on in the media speaking about the crime rate and comparing it to the region. And I really have to say that the law enforcement have been doing a fantastic job with keeping the crime rate low, especially when we look at places like Haiti and Cuba, that they're really experiencing significant unrest. We have been fortunate in Antigua that we don't see that level of disturbance in way of life, in the economy, and generally our people are very, very peaceful, very, very peaceful.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Antigua, as most of you know, is a British Commonwealth and it's part of the United Nations, but it's also a luxury travel destination. It's developed and safe. English is the main language, and it's the travel hub of Eastern Caribbean. So oftentimes you have to fly into Antigua and then hop over to one of the other islands nearby. They also have offshore banking and tax planning, pretty well developed industry for clients looking for those assets as well.
And Patrick, if I could just add to what you're saying about Antigua and Barbuda. I mean, I'm very proud to be Antiguan and Barbudan. So if I could just add to enhance what you're saying, you know, we are very, very big on literacy and education and professionalism. And so the government has traditionally put in place a system where each child under the age of 16 must be in some form of educational institution. As a result of that, we have a literacy rate of 99%. Additionally, we have some of the best schools. Our schools are on par with international education. We have an international school called Allen Academy, and it actually provides international education from the primary level up to the international baccalaureate level. So from kindergarten until IB. And we benefit from all of the expats who have to work in Antigua from time to time. The children are able to attend that school and be able to seamlessly return to their school of origin once their parents have completed their time here in Antigua and Barbuda. So we've also seen that successful applicants of the program there's some who have actually decided to relocate to Antigua and Barbuda, and their children are able to attend that school. In terms of tertiary education, we actually have the 4th landed campus of the University of the West Indies here in Antigua and Barbuda. And the University of the West Indies is in the 5th percentile of international universities worldwide. So that's a huge accomplishment for us. And so the fact that Antiguans and Barbudans can actually attend this school here on Antigua and not have to travel abroad is really a great deal for us. And it really helps with the government's plan to ensure that no one is left behind, that people have basic education and still have the flexibility to expand their knowledge at the tertiary level. Patrick did mention before that we have very well developed healthcare. I just want to advise you that we actually have a cancer treatment center here on Antigua and Barbuda that serves the region. So persons from neighboring islands come to Antigua to undergo their chemotherapy treatment. We also have our medical infrastructure is so advanced that we actually perform kidney transplants here in Antigua and Barbuda. So if it is that in addition to having an opportunity to have a second passport, you want an additional place to live, you would be pleased to know the quality of life that you can enjoy in your current jurisdiction, you can also enjoy it in Antigua and Barbuda. And the last thing I really want to say, I really want to point out, is that Antiguans and Barbudans are naturally warm and friendly. So you're seeing me, and I'm usually very effervescent, but this really is how Antiguans are. I think it's because we've grown so accustomed to mixing with persons from different cultures. We've had a very vibrant tourism industry for over 6 decades. So we have become very accustomed to dealing with persons from various races, cultural backgrounds, and so on. So, I mean, when you come to Antigua, from the time you step off of the tarmac, it's sunshine all around. Sunshine because of the weather, and sunshine from your interactions with the Antiguans and Barbudans.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the microphone is yours, of course. But yeah, it is. It's just a great place to spend time. And, you know, we're seeing more and more of those clients think about the future and think about where all these instabilities are coming from around the world, and thinking, you know, I want to invest in a country and obtain citizenship in a place that I would be comfortable spending time in the future. I don't necessarily want to move there now, but what if something happens one day? That country, that place where I'm investing in, I would like them to have the infrastructure for me to have a comfortable life. And sure, that means, you know, we always think about education, healthcare, but it also means just things to enjoy life, like good restaurants, good amenities like gyms and sports clubs, and you know, a society that I can interact with, which means like sophisticated society, people with money, people with used to luxury comforts. And Antigua offers those things more so than any other. So we always have to keep that in mind, because these Caribbean programs have now been distilled down to which one is the cheapest. But they're all within roughly the same price range. And unless you have a really, really price shopping client, you should also consider the like what's the word I was looking for? The qualifying, you know, or more of the things that aren't necessarily just the dollars and cents. And Antigua offers that lifestyle side to come with it. If ever I need to jump ship, there's a civil war that breaks out, or I just don't feel comfortable, or whatever can happen. We've seen so many different things in our lifetime. And I want to go to a refuge for 6 months to my new country of citizenship. Believe me, Antigua is the place where they'll feel comfortable.
And Patrick can really attest to it, because he's visited Antigua so many times.
Oh yeah, I go down 4 or 5 times every year at least, for sure. Yeah. And not just me, like this next slide, if you don't believe me talking about it, just look at who's decided to build homes or buy properties in Antigua. And these are the rich and wealthy who look for those luxury amenities and that high-end lifestyle, and they find it in Antigua. Like here you have Giorgio Armani and Oprah Winfrey, Richard Branson, Eric Clapton. There's many more. Like this is just one slide with a few photos, but it's a very popular destination for the rich and wealthy Europeans, British, North Americans as well.
And Eric Clapton loved Antigua so much. Not only did he build a home here, he actually built a rehabilitation center for persons suffering with depression or drug abuse or whatever other type of abuse. So, I mean, just to add to what Patrick is saying, Antigua is really very developed and on par with the lifestyle that you are accustomed to.
So, Charmaine, do you sometimes hang out with Giorgio Armani and Oprah Winfrey? Is that not, no?
Of course, in my dreams.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Antigua offers 3 investment options, okay? Overarching investment options. Number 1 is the non-refundable contribution to the government. Number 2 is an investment in real estate. And number 3 is an investment in a business, okay? Within each category, there's subcategories. So in the non-refundable contribution category, you have families of 4 or less who can get away with contributing just $100,000. If families of 5 or more in the National Development Fund contribution, they are contributing $125,000, okay? In that same overarching category, you have a non-refundable contribution. There it's written on the slide, you can see UWI Fund. That stands for University of Western Indies Fund. That is exclusively for families of 6 or more. And you'll see the advantage there, financially speaking, later when I jump into the fees. The government processing fees are waived for families of 6. So it makes it very, very financially attractive for them. In the real estate investment option, there the minimum required investment is $200,000, okay? And it's a 5-year holding period only. What that means is the applicant can invest for 5 years, hold the real estate, then sell it after 5 years, okay? Like buy the real estate, hold it for 5 years, sell it, but remain citizen. There's other programs out there that you must maintain the property your entire life, as long as you want to keep citizenship. But Antigua allows you to exit that investment, yet maintain citizenship for the entirety of your life, your children's life, your grandchildren's life. So it's just a 5-year holding period. And then the last investment option is the business investment option, which requires an applicant to invest $1.5 million in a business. It could also come as a group of applicants. We rarely see applicants there. If ever you have clients interested in that, please do contact us for more details. All right, now the fees. There's 3 types of fees. You have the government due diligence fee, the government processing fee, and the government passport fee. The passport fee is the easiest, $300 per person. It's simple. The processing fee is $30,000 for a family of 4 persons or more. Starting with the 5th person and onward, we have to add $15,000 per person. This fee, however, is waived for the university option for the first 6 persons. Okay, for the 7th person onward is when the fee would start applying. The other fee is the due diligence fee. And as you can see in the grid here, that varies based on if you're the principal applicant, the spouse, or children, siblings, and parents and grandparents. So to help illustrate this, I have a couple of examples. So for a family of 4, here are 2 options. You have the NDF donation option. For a family of 4, the total cost is $146,000. And you have the real estate investment option, which again, for a family of 4, 2 kids under 12, is $253,000. Okay. If we compare this to the university option, this is a family of 6 example, because remember, this option is exclusively available to families of 6 or more. So total cost for families of 6 is $166,000, which is very attractive for a large family. But you see why it's so inexpensive is because the processing fee there, the first line is 0. So for a family of 4, the NDF donation, $146,000 on the column on the left. For a family of 6, the donation jumps up to $166,000 under the university option. And then if somebody wants real estate, for a family of 4, you're looking at $253,000. The processing is very simple. We're looking at an overall processing time of 3 to 6 months. From the day we submit the application to the day we see a decision from the CIU, you're looking at between 2 to 3 months. Then the client has 30 days to finalize the investment, okay, whether it's real estate investment or the non-refundable contribution. And once the investment is made, you're looking at 3 to 5 weeks normally to get citizenship certificates and the passports for the whole family. And those can be couriered anywhere in the world. Okay. Nobody has to come to Antigua to pick up the documents. We just send it to you by email for review. And then you tell us where you or your client wants to receive them by courier, and we ship them out to you. So now we're going to talk about recent changes. Mrs. Quinland-Donovan, I leave the floor to you.
Thank you, Patrick. You know, you've done such a wonderful job with explaining the program. I really, if I wasn't Antiguan already, you know, I'd really want to speak to you about the investment opportunity.
Thank you.
So I would really like to just focus on some of the more recent changes to the program. What you will find with this program is that we are extremely flexible. Our ears are on the ground. We are always listening to what our clients need. So earlier during this presentation, you heard me speak about hearing from our authorized representatives like Patrick, the experiences that their clients are having. And then of course, we take this information now to see how we can enhance our product so that our clients continue to have a really positive experience with this program. So Patrick spoke about the definition of dependents that have expanded and really is the most attractive in the region and perhaps in all of the programs that are offered worldwide. When we look at the fact that even if your sibling is 65 years old, as long as the sibling is unmarried, you can add him or her to the application. Previously, this couldn't happen. We look at grandchildren, meaning you are a principal applicant and you have your dependent child. Your child perhaps is married currently, but still is dependent on you and has a young child. All of them can be included in your application. Even if your dependent child gets married or has a child thereafter, the spouse and the child can be added to the application even after approval. We've also listened to what our clients asked for, and we've increased the maximum age of a dependent child. So the maximum age is now 30. So once you're under 31, you're able to include your dependent child. There's no real age limit for a physically challenged child, though. Physically, mentally challenged child can be included in the application no matter the age, because of course we understand that that child is going to be dependent on the parent. Additionally, we have reduced the minimum age for you to add your dependent parent or grandparent or in-law. So the main applicant can either add his or her parent yes, his or her parent or his or her in-law. So it could be the parent of the parents of the spouse. Additionally, same for grandchildren. We've been receiving really positive feedback about this expansion of definition as it relates to dependence. And actually, you know, we've really seen quite a bit of take up, even files or applicants who would have successfully come through the program years before, they're now adding their dependents. So I think that's been helpful for everyone. Last year, just before the pandemic, I mean, we had been working on an electronic portal for persons to submit the applications. And it so happened that just before our country went on lockdown, which meant that the agents would not have been able to physically bring the files to the unit anymore, we were able to launch our portal. We were testing earlier the year, so for January, we had a few of our agents test the portal to see if there were any challenges. We worked on anything that was identified so that by early March, we were able to roll this out to everyone, just in time for when the country went on lockdown. So, you know, Patrick spoke about us being open throughout the whole global lockdown. This too assisted us for us to have a seamless transition. So no longer do you have to submit the file only when the office is open. If you prefer to work at 1 or 2 a.m., you can upload your file to our portal at that time. So it's very, very convenient. We've also simplified our fee structure. With that, we are speaking specifically to the government processing fees. Prior to last year, based on the investment option chosen, a fee was ascribed to that. So take, for instance, the real estate, the processing fees relating to real estate and business investment was at 50,000, while the NDF had a different level. So to make the process a lot more seamless, uncomplicated, we have decided to have the same processing fee structure across all of the options that are available. That too has been, we have received quite a bit of positive feedback about that. It's made life simpler for everyone involved. Most recently, we've also agreed that persons after the 5-year holding period that Patrick spoke about, if you have purchased a real estate investment, after the mandatory 5-year holding period, you're now able to resell to new applicants. So there was always the option that you can resell after the 5-year holding period, but now we have agreed that if there's a new applicant coming through the program, you can resell to this applicant. So that too has been helpful. Additionally, we have really worked on streamlining our internal processes for application, the application processing. And we're now at a place where we can deliver decisions on applications on average between 8 to 10 weeks. And that is a major achievement for us, for which we are extremely proud. It really required us to dissect what it is that we're doing and ensure that everything fits neatly together to facilitate the application moving smoothly along the assembly line, for lack of a better term. The pandemic posed a lot of challenges as it relates to mobility for our applicants. And our program requires that once you're successful, you need to visit Antigua for 5 days, and you also need to swear the oath. And you need to swear the oath on Antigua and Barbuda soil. So of course, with the global lockdowns, it presented a challenge for our successful applicants. So of course, always with our ears to the ground and trying to come up with very workable solutions to ensure that our clients continue to have a positive experience with our program, we have now made available the opportunity for persons to swear their oath remotely through a virtual platform. Of course, if you need to have more information about that, Patrick can always walk you through that. Additionally, the government has agreed to suspend the requirement for persons to visit the country for 5 days within the 5-year period. So we've actually been able to help persons to renew their passports who would have, whose 5-year period would have elapsed, but they have not had an opportunity to come and visit Antigua as yet. Because this has been suspended, persons are able to carry on with their lives with their new passports. The other thing is that we are consistently working on expanding the number of jurisdictions that we have visa-free access to. Patrick spoke to you about 165 territories, and we continue to work with our international partners to ensure that we have the opportunity so that all of our nationals, Antiguan and Barbudans, can visit countries hassle-free without having to time your visit based on the opportunity to get a visa. And we see that a lot of persons who actually apply to the program are business persons who really need to get around the globe in swift time. And of course, we all understand the challenges, the huge bottlenecks of waiting for a visa application to be processed. So we have been working on expanding these jurisdictions. So in the future, we'll be able to tell you about more. I know every time we do one of these conferences, we hear about what about the Canadian visa? And I can tell you that we're actively speaking with the Canadian government to see how we can move forward with hopefully them giving us back the visa-free access to Canada. And one move in a positive direction is that we are part of a very elite list, only 14 jurisdictions where nationals of that jurisdiction are able to apply for a Canadian student visa in an expedited process. It is called the Canadian Direct Student Stream, and we are fortunate to be one of the elite countries or jurisdictions to be afforded that opportunity. So as I said before, we are a very, very dynamic program. We are also very, very flexible. And our main goal is to ensure that the clients who interact with this program have the best possible experience. Thank you, Patrick, for an opportunity to discuss this with the audience.
No, it was fantastic. And yeah, that announcement from the Canadian government is very recent, just this week. And so it's fantastic news for our partners who promote the program to their clients overseas. For sure, we'll leverage that as much as we can. Before we let you go, Charmaine, because I know you can't stick around for the question and answer period, I just want to remind everybody, because some people in the audience may have never heard of client referrals and some might not have worked with us before. In the beginning of the call, Charmaine referenced to our experience, and it's been a kind of partnership with the Antigua government since they've launched this program. You know, client referrals is not new to this industry. We're founded by a gentleman named Guy Pilote, who's been around for 34 years in the industry and started working for the government of Canada and has been in private industry for over 25 years now. We have historically always been what we call the B2B service provider. So we work with governments like Antigua, and then we go out and work with immigration consulting firms and immigration law firms and other advisors to high net worth individuals like private bankers or family offices. But we never solicit the end investor, okay? Our role is really to support you, the promoters of the program, you, the advisors to the clients. We kind of live behind the curtains to make sure the promises you make to the clients are getting delivered. We live behind the curtains to make sure that the communication with the government, the Antigua CIU, is going smoothly and the file is progressing forward. And if there's ever any uncertainties or questions that the government may have, maybe a form wasn't filled out properly, maybe they would like additional information, we try to resolve all those problems so that you don't have to go back to your client, because it's all about customer service and the client experience, because that's what generates referrals. If they are happy with your service, if they are happy with the program you sold to them, they will bring you back more and more clients, and it snowballs from there. And we all grow our businesses. And so that's where we've focused our business, is supporting you, the advisors. So we know that requires fast responses, fast file reviews. When it's necessary, we can help prepare the file, like fill out forms and review the documents in detail. We also offer after landing services, like when a client needs to come to Antigua to get a driver's license, or they want an address in Antigua, or they want to open a bank account, and so on and so forth, register a company. We do all those things. We're fully set up to help you help your clients with that. And we've been doing this, like I said, over 30 years. So we know what you guys need to close deals. We know what you need to properly serve your client. We also even have marketing materials without our logo. So you could just take our brochure, put your logo on it, and the next minute you're ready to promote the program and close some deals. So we really built our business over the last few decades to support you, not compete with you like every other, supposed B2B company out there. They put their brands on everything. They put their brand on the box of passports that gets to your clients, on the sleeve with the, you know, the approval letters in it. We don't do that. We stay behind you to make sure that you can promote yourself to the client. So we will move on to question and answer period, but before we do, Charmaine, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was very, very valuable for the audience. I have no doubt, very productive. So yeah, can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you, Patrick, for the opportunity. And thank you for constantly promoting our lovely program. I mean, Antigua offers huge opportunities for persons, not just a passport program. There are lots of other investment opportunities in Antigua, as we've taken the time to explain. So thank you to your audience as well for having us. And we look forward to receiving your application. Thank you.
Charmaine, Patrick, thank you very, very much for your presentations. It was really very interesting and useful for us and for all of the guests today. I have a small short question to Patrick. The question is, what is the best option for a big family if we choose among several Antigua options? What is the best for a big family? If it is real estate, what is the liquidity of this real estate? How profitable is this option for a big family in some course of time, in perspective?
Yeah, there's two options that the client will have to choose from that are excellent. Number one, as you touched on, real estate. There's villas that we can build, either custom villas or we have standalone ready planned villas that are 2 or 3 bedroom homes. The real estate market, is it liquid? You know, the islands, all of them are small populations. You know, we're talking between 25,000 people at some of the smaller CIP islands to the biggest, which is Antigua, 100,000. So is the market liquid? Yes, but not like what we would expect in large cities around the world where most of our clients live. We do tell our clients to give us 6 to 12 months to find a buyer, okay? So definitely it's a good investment, a safe investment, I should say. It's and the liquidity of it is reasonable. You can get out of it within about 12 months. But the government of Antigua about 2 years ago created a program, a donation program that is specifically targeting large families. It's called the University Contribution Option. The reason they created it is just to repay the cost that it took them to build a campus, essentially, for this new university. Fantastic school. But what's attractive for us in the business or the clients is that it's very, very inexpensive compared to all other programs for families of 6 people or more. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we've seen more and more clients come with this isn't just for clients who have husband, wife, 4 kids, because we don't have that many families anymore in the world like that. But it could be 2 kids, and don't forget siblings of any age. Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, families of 6 or more, Antigua is a very attractive program. It can be as little as $175,000 US for 6 people and go from there. Thank you. There's Michael, if I may, there's one more question in the chat, and it asks that right now they shouldn't be in Antigua for 5 days. So the Antigua does have a 5-day visit requirement, and that expires, that it was waived, but it expires at the end of August. So a 5-day trip will be required, but it's not 5 days per year. It's not 5 days forever. Just a one-time trip. They come for a 1-week holiday, and we take good care of them while they're in Antigua.